A legend not told in words, but in the memory of those who once knew it. Not everyone knows that beneath Petra, the ancient city of stone buried in the sands of Jordan, lies an unexcavated zone far from the majestic facades. Like Al-Khazneh, hidden behind overgrown paths and forgotten red cliffs, there's a region the Bedouins never name. They only whisper, Maqbarat al-Sur, the graveyard of truth. In 2027, a small research team secretly returned to this forbidden zone under a grant from Miskatonic University. Leading the team was Dr. Miriam Awan, a Pakistani archaeologist specializing in extinct languages. Alongside her were Jules Hartmann, a German geostructural analyst, Salem Basri, Jordanian technician who once lived with the Bedouins, Layla al-Nasir, a young anthropologist obsessed with ancient myths, and lastly, Elias, a quiet student, the only one who hadn't volunteered, but was nominated by a mysterious foundation called Ordo Oraculi. Within their first week, they unearthed a sealed shaft buried beneath layers of ancient basalt, a stone never native to Petra, where all should be red sandstone. Scattered pottery fragments suggested someone once tried to open the shaft and abandoned the attempt. "This isn't Nabatean," Jules whispered, "nor Roman." Salem crouched down and lifted a slab. Etched beneath was a crude symbol, an eyeless socket crossed by two diagonal slashes. Elias stepped forward. For the first time since arriving, he spoke. "This isn't meant for seeing. It's meant for listening." Miriam turned to him, but Elias had already descended into the shaft. Beneath the rock was a spiraling tunnel. No steps, just smooth stone curling downward into the mountain's core. No wind, no scent, no echo. Jules checked the barometric gauge. Distorted readings. Salem turned on infrared. The light scattered like smoke. Miriam started the GoPro. Step by step, they descended until reaching a circular chamber. Its walls were chiseled with thousands of unknown glyphs. At the center stood a jet-black stone well, shaped like an octagon, rimmed with non-reflective metal, inscribed with deep claw-like slashes, forming unreadable lines. The air was so dense, no one could scream. Silence held them for 3 whole minutes, only broken breathing and the faint whine in their ears, as if the air pressure didn't belong to Earth's crust. Miriam's jaw trembled with a strange frequency. Jules' nose began to bleed. Layla shone her flashlight into the well. The beam hit the metallic rim and vanished, like water sinking into dirt. No reflection, no flicker, just absorption. "This isn't metal," Jules murmured. "It mimics it, or maybe it's a spectrum-absorbing compound, material we've never documented." "Or," Miriam added quietly, "it's not meant to reflect, but to ensure no one knows what they're seeing." Elias stepped closer. No one stopped him, no hesitation. He tilted his head as if listening to something deep below. Then he spoke in a flat, toneless voice. "What lies beneath has no shape. It once was sound, but suffocated by forgetting. Now it searches for resonance." Miriam opened her notebook. Hands trembling, she flipped to an old sketch she barely remembered drawing. An 8-spoked symbol with a hollow mouth at its core. She had dreamed it months ago, never understood why. Yet it was hers, her drawing, her hand. Layla whispered, "The well, it's breathing." She was right. The air pulsed ever so faintly, expanding and shrinking in rhythmic waves. The vice lights flickered like candle flames in unseen wind. Salem, the skeptic, suddenly clasped his hands together in prayer as if instinct overruled reason. Then Miriam heard it, a faint scratching, like nails dragging on metal. It didn't come from above, it came from inside the well. "Is someone there?" Jules called out. Immediately, all lights died. No clicks, no power outage, just total darkness. The kind no human eye could adapt to, the kind where you could hear your own blood and the smell of fear rising from your belly. Then, from deep below, a voice, not made of words, not spoken, but crushed through bone, warped, gasping like a song forgotten halfway. Elias laughed, not with joy, but like someone who had finally heard the voice he once called his own in another life. The lights came back all at once, as if nothing had happened. No one spoke, but the floor had changed. A circle of thin blood had spread across the stone, flowing into 8 symmetrical directions, forming a sigil. Yet, no one was injured. Miriam dipped her glove into it, sniffed. "Not human blood. It's not blood," Elias said. "It's memory ink." They didn't see it, but the GoPro did. In the well's inner wall, eyes opened, not human eyes. No iris, no sclera, just slits curled like smiles, watching. From that night on, Elias slept with his eyes wide open. Each groan in his throat carried names, names only Layla could hear, her name, but pronounced differently each time. Layla, Layla, Lila, Elia, as if her name was being shredded into syllables, tested, repeated, until the right form unlocked something. Miriam, once the most rational, began writing in a script no one could recognize, not even her. When Layla asked, "What are you writing?" Miriam looked up, red-eyed, twitching, and whispered, "I'm not writing. I'm transcribing what it's saying." "What is it?" A pause, a distant gaze. A being that once was language, exiled from human memory, forgotten, and now it's hungry. That night, Jules disappeared. Footage showed him leaving the tent with Miriam's notebook, heading straight to the well, not walking like a man, but as if being led by a voice that made no sound. The last footage caught him kneeling at the well, whispering, "I was never born. I am the memory no one remembers, and now I am the voice in need of shape." He vanished. No scream, no splash, only a gust rising upward from the well, air that had learned to speak. The next morning, Elias painted a new symbol on the wall, a mouth, no face, and inside it, a quill dripping blood. Layla, trembling, asked, "Elias, what are you drawing?" He didn't reply, but Jules's voice came from Elias's mouth. "The first writer used no hands, only someone else's skin as paper." Layla staggered back, not because of the words, but because the voice was exactly Jules's. Miriam analyzed their night audio logs. Whenever Elias mouthed syllables, the brainwave data from the others shifted. Not fear, not stress, but entrainment, like hypnosis. Layla stopped sleeping. She stuffed her ears with cloth, but the voices didn't come from outside anymore. They came from inside her head. She saw herself, a child, not in Petra, but in another desert, watching another version of herself carve symbols into dirt using bone. A memory that wasn't hers, but was using her to remember itself. Miriam finally admitted what she feared. She matched ancient Petra maps to the carving patterns around the well and whispered, "This isn't a tomb, it's a prison for a language the gods once forbade."
Elias, standing motionless, smiled.
No language is dangerous, only those afraid of what it wakes. The well began to glow faintly at night, not fire, not light, but memory made visible. Layla saw them all, Miriam, Jules, Salem, Elias, inside the well, looking up, not a reflection, but another version of them. Already there, already waiting. Elias stopped eating, stopped blinking, stopped moving. He only mouthed syllables no one had taught him, but Miriam and Layla understood them. It doesn't teach, it remembers. Every language once lived in us before we called them language. That night, the prophecy was spoken. A third time, not by Elias, not by Miriam, not by Layla, but by all their voices simultaneously. Recorders couldn't process the sound. Waveforms split into 4 channels. The fourth, inaudible, made Layla's ears bleed. Then the well opened, not like a door, like an eyelid slowly peeling back. Beneath it, no stone, no soil, only text. Thousands of lines inscribed on the underside of space itself, spiraling alive like memories never thought but always there, embedded in a part of the brain no one has ever named. Elias fell in, not screaming, not resisting, just returning home. Layla dragged Miriam out, but the corridor was no longer stone. Each step reshaped underfoot, walls of flesh, ceiling of veined language contracting like a throat-swallowing sound. Behind them, the whispers grew louder, no longer calling their names, now repeating the thoughts they hadn't spoken yet. I want to escape. I'm afraid. I want to forget. And always a reply. There is no escape. Fear is the door. Forgetting is how I enter. They burst out into daylight, but the sun was gone. Only a pale golden orb hung motionless on the horizon, like an eye asking if they'd released what was once sealed. Miriam collapsed. Layla looked at her hands. Under the desert dust. She couldn't remember her name. Not madness, just her name had been spoken 3 times, and now it belonged to something else. 3 months later, they returned with explosives, not by order of the government, not UNESCO, but by their own will to seal the word that had awakened. But it was no longer in the well. It had found a host, a voice, a memory, a way to write itself again.
And those who read the journals of that expedition all began to dream the same dream. You stand in a doorless stone room inside a black octagonal well. Someone with your face whispers what you're about to think. And you smile because you understand the language. Subscribe to Dark Whispers for more cursed tongues, forbidden glyphs, and languages that were never meant to be spoken again. Wells that don't hold water, but memory. Words that were never taught, only remembered. Thoughts that aren't yours, but are living inside you. Because some prophecies don't need a reader, only someone to remember them incorrectly. And one day, you may repeat a phrase that was never yours. And when you do, the oracle will know. It has found a voice.